What's up, people? So I want to talk about like how to have a good relationship because I was watching Valuetainment and Valuetainment Adam Sosnick. He had the lead attorney on there and who's a good divorce attorney in Atlanta, right? And he was just giving. He didn't have any good advice on how to keep a marriage going, but that's what these people wanted to know. And so that's one of the things about the red pill community is that they only focuses on the negative side of marriage. They don't focuses on the positives. And you know, it's not that the negative sides are wrong. I mean, they do exist, but that's only 50% of the coin. That's only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is beneficial as well, but they'll never go over that. And so I was watching this video, and so I just want to comment on that. So let's do that.
Home and they want happy time, and it's like, I'm exhausted, I've had kids hanging up, like, so that's the tough part, which is why I always give people advice.
So I have a question. So I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but Adam keeps saying like there's a lot of men listening to the show. So like, what advice do you have for them if you're saying that that's what is going to happen once they get married and have kids? That's what's gonna happen at their wedding.
This is the advice. Please listen.
All right, so this guy wants to know what is the positive advice you have for maintaining a happy marriage, and this is the advice that lead attorney is about to give. Let's go.
To know the reality. Once you know the reality, then you can take steps. You can make
Just
an
know the
informed
reality.
decision as to if you want to get into this reality. So many men don't know the reality. So many men are like, you're a beautiful couple, and you say things, and it's just not reality. But if you knew what the reality was, then you can make an informed decision as to if you want to enter the institution of marriage, if you want to have one kid, if you want to have two kids. What men need to know is the reality. They need to be able to make an informed decision. They need to talk with experts in the field, like divorce attorneys, who've seen this over and over, and get a real picture, not this unicorn stuff. Let me finish. Get a real idea of what's going on, and then they can decide, do I want to get married? Do I want to have kids, knowing the risk? And if I know the risk, and I'm fine with those risks, and things could turn out perfectly for me, but if they don't, I know what I'm getting into, then I will decide whether I want to have kids or not, and I'll do it. But the key is knowing the information and making an informed decision.
Okay, so let's say they.
All right, so he says the key is knowing the information before you get married, but he asks on how do you have a good relationship, on how do you have an actual good marriage, and he just, like I said, the lead attorney is thinking worst case scenario, and this is what all these red pillars do. They think worst case scenario. They only look at one side of the coin. They only look at the negative side of the coin. They don't look at the positive side of having relationships and marriage and kids. So let's go.
Mm-hmm.
You gave them the information.
Mm-hmm.
They know it.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to get married. They decided to have kids. Then what's your advice for them?
I don't have any advice for them. They're living. They're doing it.
So you don't have any advice to where they can to have a successful marriage? You just
I am not a marriage counselor. I want there are people who can talk to you about the 5 love languages and all this and all that. That is not my field. I am about men protecting themselves from getting screwed over and hopefully having successful relationships, hopefully having successful children. I want that for these men, but they.
All right, so the lady asked him like, so you don't have any good advice for a successful marriage, and the lead attorney says no, because he's not a marriage counselor, but he hopefully he says that he hopes that they have a good marriage. But how are you going to do that if you don't give them good advice? And you don't have to be a marriage counselor to give good advice on how to have relationships. All right, I'm gonna give y'all some game right here. All right, so these are some qualities that you need to make a relationship work, a marriage work, universally for anybody. All right, so the the first thing I wrote down, right, is you're gonna have to find a man or a woman, and you have to be a man or a woman, right, who also practices these things. So you have to practice contentment. All right, that's one on the list, right? You gotta practice contentment, and you gotta be happy with what you got, with what you have, and when you have it. That's another form of like being grateful and thankful. You gotta practice being thankful in a relationship. That's one of the ways you're gonna make a relationship work. Because if you're not, you're gonna always looking for the next biggest and best thing. Like the woman is gonna want more money, a better car, a bigger house. The guy is not going to be content with this girl and want a better chick. Both people have to exercise contentment in a relationship for it to work. The next thing that people need to work on is self-control. All right, you need to both people, man and wife, needs to practice self-control in a relationship. All right, I mean, and that's on anything. You need sexual self-control, right? The man needs sexual self-control so he doesn't waste a 20-year marriage on a 10-second orgasm. The woman needs self-control so she won't say anything that's damaging to the relationship, because once you say something, you can't take it back. The next thing people need to practice, both people need to practice in a relationship, is patience. All right, we're all human beings, we're all flawed, and none of us is perfect, and we're all going to mess up from time to time. Probably more than once in one day, right? So you're going to have to exercise patience. You can't always get what you want when you want it. That's a part of the contentment thing, being thankful for what you got. So you need patience. Both people need to practice patience in a relationship. All right. The next thing that people need to practice is forgiveness. Like I said, going back to, we're all human beings, we're all flawed. None of us lives a perfect life, right? And so we're going to mess up again and again and again. And with that, you're going to need to practice forgiveness. All right, you're going to need to learn to let things go, not bring up the past. All right, if you mess up, you talk about it, and you come to an agreement, and you say, you know what, we're never gonna bring this up again. We're starting a new slate. All right. The next thing that both people need to practice in a relationship, right? They need to practice gentleness. All right, and this is big for the men because we like to tell the truth. But we always don't know how to do it in love sometimes. And you need to be able to learn to tell the truth in love. And that when you need to practice that to your woman, all right? And for the women need to practice that too as well. But because telling the truth, it can cause a division, and you need to be able to do it gently. All right? The next thing that both people need to practice to make a relationship or a marriage work is unselfishness. All right, both people need to always be at a state of putting the others first. All right, if the man puts the wife first, then she'll be happy. If the wife puts the husband first, then he'll be happy. And now where it comes in is that both people need to communicate on what exactly makes them happy. So unselfishness is big. If one person is selfish, this whole relationship is going to crumble. Relationships can't survive with selfish people. And this is another thing about the red pill community, is that they, like I said, they focus on the bad side of things. They focus on a state of fear. They focus on all the wrong things that could possibly happen, right? And that's not a good way to live. You don't want to live your life in fear. It's good to know about the worst things that could happen, but you don't want to focus on those. And the thing is, like, you attract who you are. So if you are living in a state of fear, guess what? You're going to attract somebody who's living in a state of fear. And so if both of you are living in a state of fear, the root of that fear is selfishness. All right, you're going to be selfish. And like I said, once you enter a relationship with fear, it's not going to last. The thing you fear the most is what's going to happen. So the next thing you need to practice is hope. What is hope? The accurate, correct definition of hope is an expectation of good. You got to have an expectation that this relationship is going to turn out great. You got to have an expectation that you can trust this person. That is just one of the things I want to go over, and like how to have a successful marriage or a relationship. I don't hear enough about this in the red pill community because all they like to focus on is the negative side of things. We get it. Human nature can be terrible at times, but human nature, female nature, men nature can also be great. Just give it a chance. If you learned something today, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. All right, I'm out.